All right. The time being 6 o'clock, and this being the Plymouth Select Board, I will call to order this, the Tuesday, September 16th, 2025 meeting of Plymouth's Select Board. This meeting is taking place in a hybrid format. Members of the board are joining us here in person at the Manomet Elementary School cafeteria. Members of the public are joining us in person and also may be joining us virtually over the Zoom webinar platform. This meeting can be observed via Zoom by those interested. It can also be observed via Comcast Channel 9 or Verizon Channel 47. Members of the public that do log into the Zoom can do so either to simply observe or to participate in the meeting during the public Q&A session. The Zoom login information for the meeting is included on the agenda that is posted on the town website. Members of the public are also reminded, pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, that any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of the Select Board after notifying the chair, subject to reasonable requirements of the chair, so as not to interfere with the conduct of the meeting. At the beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any recordings. Presently, I'm aware of a recording being made by the local scene for the Zoom webinar and for the cable broadcast and the YouTube streaming platform as well, all through the local scene. All right, that brings us into our next item, which is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join the board in a pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So the next item listed on our agenda is administrative notes. We have 3 listed administrative notes. I will note one of the listed administrative notes is a committee appointment. I had the privilege of serving with Dr. Karen Hamilton on the Advisory and Finance Committee for a number of years, so I think she's a great applicant, but I do want to remind her, and we will do so via email, of course, to take the oath of office within 30 days of being sworn in, if she is so sworn in. And also to ask Jade to please, when you do send out that information, can you also send her a copy of the guiding principles? That was a request of Mr. Cohan previously. What's that? Right, within 30 days of being appointed. Yeah, sworn in within 30 days of being appointed, yes. But if you could also include the guiding principles document for the applicant, if she is so appointed. Mr. Cohan?
I just also wanted to make note of the administrative note where we are doing a proclamation for Lydia and Dick Gregory. I'd like to take that out, and I know that Mr. Lewis, the organizer, is here this evening, so I'd like to hear from him. So if we could separate that out, that would be great.
Okay. All right. So Mr. Cohan would prefer we take admin note 2 separately. We can do that. Wish of the board in regards to admin notes 1 and 3.
Move to approve them as a group.
All right, Mr. Golden has moved that we approve admin notes 1 and 3 as a group. Does that have a second?
I'll second.
Has been moved. It has been seconded. Any discussion about admin notes 1 and 3? Hearing and seeing none. Mr. Golden?
Yes.
Ms. Iaquinta?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Mr. Quinton?
Yes.
And myself, yes. It is unanimous. We have approved admin notes 1 and 3. And that brings us to admin note 2. And is someone here to speak on admin note 2? Yes. You'd like to come to what will be used during the public Q&A. That mic will be live. As an admin note for everyone, all of these mics are live at all times, so just be mindful of that.
All right.
Not that I thought you were going to come up here and say anything inappropriate, but nevertheless.
Got it. My name is Louis Randa, and I'm the director of the Peace Abbey Foundation here in Plymouth, in partnership with No Place for Hate and the International City for Peace Initiative. I'm honored to advocate for the recognition of Lillian Gregory and Dick Gregory. Lillian, a woman of extraordinary courage and deep roots in America's hometown. For more than 50 years, Lillian Gregory shared her life and activism with her husband, Dick Gregory. She was a leader in her own right, an unwavering advocate for peace, justice, and nonviolence, as well as a devoted mother and community builder here in Plymouth. Together, Lillian and Dick raised 10 children, dedicating their lives to the same mission they've been on, that they championed. As a mother, she instilled the same values of nonviolence and empowered them to see the power of the mother and the woman in our lives, teaching us the way to address problems in a nonviolent and careful way. So November 24th, Lillian's birthday, is an ideal day for Plymouth to honor her and Dick Gregory's legacy. Declaring Lillian and Dick Gregory, that would align with Plymouth's new designation as an International City of Peace. I respectfully ask that the Select Board seriously consider proclaiming November 24th as Lillian and Dick Gregory Day, so we can celebrate this recognition this Sunday as Plymouth is recognized as an International City of Peace. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the... Okay. Any questions for the presenter? Hearing and seeing none. Do I have wish of the board in regards to Admin Note 2?
We approve, the proclamation for Lydia and Richard Gregory.
All right. Mr. Cohan has made a motion to approve Admin Note 2. Any second?
Second.
Mr. Golden has seconded. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none. Call for the vote. Mr. Golden?
Yes.
Ms. Iaquinto?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Mr. Quintel?
Yes.
And myself, yes, it is unanimous. We have approved Admin Note 2. So that is all of the admin notes. That brings us into our agenda. So we have an item on our agenda at the beginning. So Friday afternoon, I received a request from the Vice Chair, David Golden, who emailed me to add reorganization of the Select Board to the agenda. Pursuant to our procedural rules, the board reorganizes annually at the first meeting post-election, but may reorganize at another time if a majority chooses to do so. Such reorganization would require a motion of the board and second, and obviously a majority vote. So, Mr. Golden, it was your request. Would you like to speak as to your motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I'm sure many folks in this room and watching at home know, last week, an issue that had been, I would say, bubbling for some time came to a head in our open session. During that session, I expressed concern that the agenda was being dominated by a single person. I also expressed concern that we were not heeding the request of a chairperson to enforce our bylaw. After Tuesday night's meeting last week, I received dozens and dozens of calls from community members, from folks in positions of leadership across the community, from folks who are former and current elected officials, from even folks in the media who are concerned that this board has become dysfunctional. It was with great pain that I asked to have this agenda item added. I see myself as 1 in 5 here, and so I had hoped that we could have a discussion about the direction of the board, how we would like to see this board work together moving forward. And I don't have delusions that we're going to be voting the same way all the time. But there needs to be a restoration of collegiality. There needs to be a restoration of the voices of this board who have been elected by the people of Plymouth and who feel that they don't have the ability to influence the agenda. Because of those reasons and because of the overwhelming response from members of the community, I ask that this be put on the agenda, and I'd like to hear, before any motions are made, from my colleagues as to their opinions on the matter.
Okay. So I guess if there's no motion and you'd like to hear from others, I'll just see if others would like to chime in at this time with their opinions. Yes, Ms. Iaquinto?
Are we asking questions and then we'll have an opportunity for more comment, or?
So you could ask questions because a motion hasn't been made. Although if a motion were made, you could always still ask questions within the board, and this is a board member's motion. So I guess unless you're going to ask questions of an external source, it's kind of a distinction without a difference. But you may ask questions now or later, just a matter of scope.
Okay, so I'll ask a question now.
Okay.
Because I've got a lot to say about this topic. So first of all, thank you, Mr. Golden, for...
Your mic? The mics have to be very close to your
Okay,
mic.
can you hear me now? Okay. First of all, thank you, Mr. Golden, for bringing some of these issues to light, because I do think they've been bubbling around below the surface. But every new board has growing pains, as we know. And you said that you've been hearing from across the town about the fact that, or the perception that the board is dysfunctional. I haven't been privy to those same conversations, so I'm not quite sure what people are seeing as dysfunction. And to be perfectly candid, for the past 10 years, since I've been paying attention to town government, every board has been described as dysfunctional. So I'm wondering, in your view, what a functional board would look like.
Yeah, I mean, I think the basis of it is respect for one another, respect for the people who come to the microphone to ask us various questions, give voice to their opinions, request action from us. I also think that it's collegiality, it's working together, it's allowing everyone's voices to be heard, and to allow not just a single person's agenda to move forward, but for the entire board's agenda to move forward.
Other questions, Ms. Iaquinto? Mr. Cohan?
As many may know, I served as a chair for a number of years on a committee, and the functionality of that committee had a lot to do with the facilitation of the meetings and keeping the board members engaged in the process. That's where I found it a successful effort. Where I did see that it wasn't as successful is when I was not responding adequately to the majority of the committee's, the board's preference. I've been on the board now since May, and it's not a preoccupation of mine of who's chair, who is vice chair. What is a preoccupation of mine has been, since I joined the board, was seeing a board that was going to work well together, that we were going to appreciate each other's responsibilities. We've been elected by the people. We ran on issues. We need to bring those issues to the forefront, and we need to debate them. And whether or not we achieve what we set out, hopefully a compromise will appear, and we're functioning at a higher level. Right now, I haven't experienced that on the board where there was an opportunity to put these issues on the agenda, that most of the activities of the committee were happening during the course of a meeting. Having things on the agenda that touch on different issues is part of that process, that responsibility we have after running for office with the issues that we're passionate about. We want to have that opportunity to put those issues on the agenda, have those discussions, and hopefully find an opportunity of compromise and in a constructive way. Because in my observation of a Board of Select in this form of government, it really requires everyone getting along in respecting one another, in appreciating our differences, in coming to a compromise, in having progress. I feel I haven't achieved that as of yet, and I think that the key here is that whoever is chairing this committee is a facilitator of a meeting. They're setting up an agenda, putting times and dates and subject matters that are at the pleasure of the board. And I feel like at different times that responsibility should be shared by different members. I think each member having a chance at some sort of leadership role is key in advancing us all in our understanding of how this board works. I think it should circulate at different times. So I'm open to the board's consideration. Has there been a motion made to reorganize? Is that not been
There
made?
has not.
Okay. Well, I do think that it would be my intention to make a motion to reorganize to see if we can reach that level of commitment of this board to meeting those responsibilities as a unit working together.
Second.
All right. Mr. Cohan has moved. Mr. Quintal has seconded that the select board be reorganized. So, Mr. Cohan, are you seeking to reorganize both leadership positions? I assume, but you could make a limited motion to only reorganize one of the two. But it's up to you.
No, it would be reorganized.
Okay. And Mr. Quintal, I assume your second was aligned with that? Okay. All right, so it has been moved by Mr. Cohan. It has been seconded by Mr. Quintal. So now there is a motion. Discussion on the motion. Ms. Iaquinto?
Okay, thank you. I actually prepared a statement that I'm going to read if you will indulge me in that. I think we really need to be careful here. I'm not sure how we got from a discussion of a broken internal system for communicating committee appointee responsibilities to reorganizing the board in less than a week. I spent most of my career in communication and change management. I've worked with and for many leadership teams, and I know from experience that leadership transitions must be made thoughtfully and not reactively. I ran for this job because I was frustrated by the reactive decision-making in this town, and yet here we are again. Mr. Golden said he has heard from a number of voices across the town. I've not heard what he's heard, so I'm not quite sure how any of us can make a decision to reorganize without hearing the full story. I think this is not the best approach. We have not had an opportunity to discuss any of this as a team, to understand what our collective goal is here. Although I suggested we do this on Friday, I was told that we could not wait, that the board had to be reorganized now. The more responsible approach is to address concerns directly with the individual and give them time to improve rather than rushing to replacement. We need to be strengthening our leadership team, not destabilizing it. This is sending the wrong message about how we as a board make decisions and govern ourselves. This is not who we are. We are a team of 5 smart, capable individuals. We may differ on some issues, but at the end of the day, we all want what is best for Plymouth, not our own interests. I urge us to slow down and make sure we're actually solving problems and not creating new ones. I intend to vote no on the motion to reorganize, and I encourage my colleagues to do the same. We need to get back to work. There's a lot to do in Plymouth. The town does not deserve this distraction, and the people of Manamat are here tonight to talk about their issues, not ours.
Thank you, Ms. Iaquinto. Other discussion? Mr. Cohan?
Well, I appreciate Ms. Iaquinto's remarks, but the problems of this board are the problems of the town. We can't tackle the issues that we all weigh in on without an environment where that process can be facilitated in an efficient way. That hasn't been happening since I joined this board. I think that it is, from time to time, it's not unusual to take a fresh approach to how we will address that issue, how we work together, and how we'll solve our problems. Because the problems that we're all here to solve are the problems of our community that we outlined when we ran for office. And that's what I'm hoping to achieve. I do not think that, like I said earlier, it is not a preoccupation of mine of who's chair, who's vice chair. I find that responsibility to be a simple responsibility of facilitating a meeting, putting things on the agenda, and working in that capacity. There is nothing in our charter that identifies the chairman to having extraordinary authority or power or influence, and I think we need to have a process that reflects all of our responsibility equally.
Thank you, Mr. Cohan. Other discussion from other members of the board? Mr. Quinton.
Not reacting to the last meeting as I was absent. I was at a Dewey Lipa concert, and it was very nice. But I do have to tell you, I had 42 messages when I left the concert, texts and emails. And I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't say the board's dysfunctional, but I do think I've said it before, there's definitely a communication problem. And as chaired this board before, I always let every member work on what they were working on, or if it was a team effort, we worked on it as a team. And if there wasn't something, the chairman and the vice chairman should reach out to whatever other select board member and try to resolve the issues. And, I don't have all the answers, but I will tell you it's been different. And I will tell you, the very first night you were chairman, you refused to put this very issue of us coming to Manamet and every other part of town on an agenda so we could discuss how we were going to move forward, how it was going to be run. That's all I wanted. It wasn't that I was against it. And you basically said flat out no, and things got off to a rough start. So then I had a choice. The choice was come and kick my feet but that's not why I'm here. That's not why I've been on the board over 20 years. I've sat with a lot of different chairmen, vice chairmen. I haven't always been the chairman, and I'm kind of like I'm right where I am. But I want to be honest, and, another example, a memo was sent out, I think it was 2 meetings ago, half hour before the meeting, directing fellow board members, I don't know which one it was, not to talk to department heads or, there was a different way to handle that. It should have been brought up, and it should have been, if it wasn't me, if it was Bill, or if it was David or Deb, it should have been brought up, discussed. It could have been done in a nicer manner. It upset me a lot. I came into that executive session like I'm Portuguese, so I was warm. And it shouldn't be like that. We're all equals, no matter what the little thing here says in front of you. And that's why I always took it. And however many chairman I was, I always listened to the board members. And I feel that you don't do that. So I didn't want to stand here and air dirty laundry, as Leslie Tilley told me 20 years ago. Don't air dirty laundry. So I'm really just trying to stick to a few issues. And, I hope things get better. So I am looking for change. And hopefully we can work as a team and let's get going. Because there's a lot of things going on in this town that need attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Quinton. Other discussion? So if no one else, I, like Ms. Iaquinto, did prepare a statement of my own. I would ask my fellow board members to vote no on the motion to reorganize the Select Board. I have not been a perfect chair of this board, and I recognize that there are areas that I need to improve on, but I do not believe the problems we have are insurmountable. I'm committed to working through these issues collaboratively with my colleagues if I am fortunate enough to be given a chance to do so. I want what is best for Plymouth. I think the people of Plymouth want to see a more active and more responsive Select Board than we have had in the past. I took the results of the election this past May as a mandate from the voters for change. Since becoming chair, I have tried to lead us in implementing changes to increase our responsiveness to residents and improve transparency in our government. We took Town Hall on the road, and that has given us an opportunity to hear from and respond to our residents. We can't fix everyone's problems, but we can meet them where they are, listen to their concerns, and try to answer their questions. We've begun posting our meeting agendas a week in advance of the meeting to give residents advance notice of matters of interest to them and give board members more time to do their homework on the issues to be discussed. We started posting the entire meeting packet online on the Friday before the meeting to let residents see what the board sees and improve transparency. We adopted 81 goals for this fiscal year, more than we ever have before, because we have a lot we want to accomplish together to improve our community. And we've met weekly through the summer, rather than taking half of it off, so that we can get more work done to help our residents and address the issues of the day. But as I said, I am not perfect, and there are opportunities for improvement. I can be too rigid on process and procedure, and sometimes that makes my colleagues think I'm not listening to the merits of what they have to say. That is not my intention, and that is something I must work on. And I recognize that some of my colleagues feel I am too controlling of what does and what does not go on our agendas. But let me be clear, I do not want any duly elected member of this board to feel that they can't address the issues that are important to them. And I have had conversations with multiple board members recently about how to better handle the agenda-setting process so that everyone feels heard. I promise to improve on those issues if given the chance. Plymouth means a lot to me. I have lived here my entire life. I know what it's like to be a kid here, to graduate from high school here, to return here after college, to commute to Boston from here for work and grad school, to start my career here, and to buy my first house here. Those are the events of my life, but every year, more and more of our residents are also having those same experiences here. I ran for the Select Board to try and make life better for our residents, to make it easier to live, grow up, work, raise a family, or retire here. I believe I can accomplish this goal best as the chair in collaboration with my colleagues, taking into account the many lessons I've learned over the past 4 months about what is working and what is not. However, if my colleagues feel differently, I promise to work collaboratively with all of them as a board member to make sure we keep moving Plymouth forward for all of our residents and their futures, because Plymouth means more to me than any role or title ever could. Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, we'll call for the vote. So this is a motion to reorganize. If it passes, we would then move into an election, first for the position of chair, then for the position of vice chair. Elections, if we get to an election, require nominations. Nominations do not require a second, but we will address that if and when we get to that point. For now, we are voting on whether or not to reorganize the board. If the motion passes, the election will occur. If it fails, an election will not occur. With that in mind, Mr. Golden, on the motion to reorganize the Plymouth Select Board, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Iaquinto?
No.
Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Mr. Quintal?
Yes.
And myself, no. In a vote of 3 in favor, 2 in opposition, the motion to reorganize the Plymouth Select Board passes. We will now conduct an election for the position of Chair of the Select Board. Do we have any nominations?
I'll make a nomination to nominate David Golden as chair.
All right, so we have a nomination for Mr. Golden. Mr. Golden, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Okay. Do we have any other nominations? Ms. Iaquinto?
I make a motion to nominate Kevin Canty to remain in the chair position.
All right, and I accept the nomination. Are there any other nominations for the position of chair of the Select Board? All right. Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the vote. So this, you will vote for a specific candidate. The 2 candidates are David Golden and Kevin Canty. So with that in mind, Mr. Golden, how do you vote?
I vote for Mr. Golden.
Okay. Ms. Iaquinto?
I vote for Mr. Canty.
Thank you. Mr. Cohan?
I vote for David Golden.
Thank you. And Mr. Quintal?
David Golden.
Thank you. And myself, I will vote for Kevin Canty. So with 3 votes for David Golden and 2 votes for Kevin Canty, Mr. Golden has been elected the chair of the Select Board. Congratulations, Mr. Golden.
Thank you, Mr. Canty. I'd like to take a moment just to say a few words. It's with a heavy heart that I accept this position. We've had quite a lot of disruption as a result of the present situation. And I think there are a lot of hurt feelings among people sitting up on this dais, among folks in the town. And I commit to you folks tonight that I will work to remedy that. I've heard people talk about respect, facilitation, communication, transparency tonight. That's how I intend to run this board. If I am only in this position for 7 months until the next election and a reorganization happens, just know that I will work to make sure that all of these folks' voices are heard and that the concerns of residents are addressed in an appropriate manner and consistent with our bylaws and our charter. It's a bittersweet moment for me. This is my daughter's elementary school, and so I'm grateful for this honor being bestowed on me here today, and I will work my best to make her proud most of all. So thank you to my fellow board members for your trust, and with that, I will accept nominations for vice chair. If there are none, I will nominate Mr. Quintal. Mr. Quintal, do you accept?
Yes.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the roll. Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Quintal?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Ms. Quinto?
Yes.
And myself, yes. It is unanimous. With that, we will move along in the agenda. The next item is the town manager's report.
That's great. Thank you very much. Town Manager Derek Brindisi. I have a few updates that will cover some of the ongoing activities throughout the town. I do have some specific items relative to the Manomet Village. I'll start by giving an update on the full sale. So now that the summer season is over, the design for the full sale has been complete. There have been multiple public meetings. In particular, I mentioned one at the Wildlands Trust during the summer. So we will move forward with making the improvements at the full sale. The first we will do this fall is we will wait for the DPW to complete the drainage work. Once the drainage work is complete, we will move forward and add the bases that will ultimately be the basis for the shade sail, the walkways, and other items to be placed on that area. In the spring, we will then complete the project with landscaping. Moving on, you will see those town meeting members that are with us this evening. At the fall town meeting, there's a proposal to acquire the Gilmore property. According to David Gould, our Director of Department of Energy and Environment, this acquisition will improve water quality within the Bartlett Brook watershed from headwaters to Tidmarsh to Bartlett Pond and to Whitehorse Beach by eliminating ongoing agricultural uses of the cranberry bogs. Moving forward, just another update over downtown. The boardwalk in front of the Lobster is now officially complete. There are some punch list items that still remain. I had the opportunity to walk the new boardwalk this weekend, and so, again, a great job by David Gould and his team to complete that project. You will see when you walked in this evening that there are a number of handouts. The first one I want to bring to folks' attention is, again, I mentioned this in the past, the Department of Health and Human Services is conducting a community health assessment. These surveys, although you can go to the QR codes and go online to complete the surveys, if you do not have access to a computer, you can go to the Manomet Library and the Youth Center in Manomet, where we have hard copies of the Community Health Assessment Survey. This survey will help inform us in a decision-making to ultimately will be a community health improvement plan. I want to thank Commissioner Brady and her team for another successful senior conference that took place yesterday at the Hotel 1620, where it was sold out and over 150 folks attended. The second handout I want to bring to folks' attention will be a virtual meeting held by OCPC. This is regarding the Route 3A corridor and the improvements that we hope to make. So again, this will be led by OCPC. They'll go over their study findings. This will take place tomorrow from 6 to 7 p.m. So again, register in advance. QR code is assigned to this. We hope folks can join and learn more about their findings in their study. Some neighborhood projects that have taken place. So I've reported in the past, White Horse Road, Priscilla Beach Road, Manomet Point Road, all of those roads, the improvements have been made and completed. We are now continuing in this construction season. Although we're nearing the end, we will be moving forward with Fox Road, Rexford Road, Cottontail Road, and a few other roads in Manomet. We'll start paving this week, and hopefully we'll have those completed within the next 2 weeks prior to the ending of construction season. Just as another reminder, on September 30th at the Manomet Youth Center, there will be another community engaged process regarding the Forges Field and the Hedges Pond Road recreation area. Those two master planning processes happening concurrently to one another. And so at Manomet Youth Center, again at 6 p.m. on September 30th, we'll have a facilitated discussion on those two projects. The Manomet Fire Station, although it's been open for quite some time, we're completing the punch list items. We're hoping, the chief is hoping, to have an open house at the end of October. So more to come on that, but we're planning for an open house and a ribbon cutting ceremony at the Manomet Fire Station in a few weeks. For those seniors out there, the senior tax credit applications are available. Hard copies can be found at the Human Resources Department, the Center for Active Living. Both library branches have hard copies, and those folks that don't want to receive a hard copy, you can always go online. Just keep in mind that the applications are due by October 31st. And then last, I would just report that the Holtec Master Plan is official, is complete. It's on the Planning Department's website. We encourage folks, although the plan has been complete and has been adopted by the Select Board, we encourage folks to go online, look at it, read it. If you have any feedback that you want us to consider, we're still open to those comments. So please take a look at it, because it's definitely going to shape the future of this community. Pending any questions, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Brindisi. Are there any questions from board members? Hearing and seeing none, we will move to the real reason we are here, which is the public question and answer session. As Ms. Iaquinto said earlier, we're here to hear from you folks, what issues are important to you. As we have in the past, we will have folks come up to the microphone here, identify yourself, speak on the issue that is important to you. We will take up to two subsequent speakers on that same subject. It doesn't mean we'll limit discussion to just those three people, but we want to give people the opportunity to speak about the items that are important to them too. So after we've exhausted all discussion, we'll open up the floor for any prior topics to be revisited. So we'll give preference to the folks who are in the room, though we will also engage with the folks who may be with us online. With that, I will open up the floor. Is there anyone in the room who would like to speak on any issue? Please identify yourself.
Good evening. I'm Tim Feely, 85A Taylor Ave. I brought some pictures for you people.
Thank you.
The issue we have down there has been ongoing for a number of years, since they redid the Taylor Ave construction project with flooding. It's a drainage issue. It's been brought up years ago when Jonathan Beta was in charge of the highway department. He had a special meeting down at Town Hall, put on a very detailed explanation with graphics, measurements, dimensions, explained the problem with the two outfall pipes, one that exits the main drainage system through the dunes down at the public beach, and the other that goes into Town Brook, the brook that flows under Taylor Ave. And he explained during the engineering process, they knew that those outfall pipes were undersized, and the state didn't want to do anything about it because they had to draw special federal permits to go through the dunes. And they decided to leave the outfall pipes the original size. So the main drain pipe that goes down Taylor Ave is the correct size, but it then flows into a smaller pipe, which causes blockage. So Taylor Ave does not drain correctly. Water pours down ACF and Hilltop Road onto Taylor Ave, and in those pictures you can see 3 of them are titled number 1 on the top left corner. That's the entranceway into the cottages between 83 and 85 Taylor Ave. And you can watch the water pour from Taylor Ave down that entranceway. I'm 2 houses back from Taylor Ave. There's other pictures in there of my house. You can see the water line is 3 inches below my floor. My complete yard is underwater when this happens. This has been going on for a number of years, and there's been no resolution. Back when Jonathan Beta put this demonstration on down at Town Hall, he said they knew exactly what the problem was, they knew how to fix it, but in order to do it, he had to go to the state first because it was a state project. And he had to go through those loopholes to get to the state, and if the state didn't fix it, he promised us that he had money in his budget that the town would take it on, but he had to go to the state first. And then he left his position, and we've been in limbo ever since. So how do we get this corrected? Where do we go?
Thank you for your comments. I understand that there has been some movement on designing some additional catch basins in the neighborhood. And I believe there was some work to unblock and cage off the outfall pipe. Mr. Town Manager, do you have any information on that?
I don't have any updates on the design of that, but I'm happy to follow up with our director, Mr. Bill Coyle, and report back.
Mr. Feely, I believe you have my business card. I do. Please give me a call. I'll follow up with the town manager and get some more information for you. Thank you. Ms. Baker?
Through the chair, if I can just do a follow-up on this issue. These are my neighbors, so I know all about the flood. It was at the Manamet Village Steering Committee that we had that meeting a few years ago. But just recently, a couple of weeks ago, I met with Mr. Goldman and Bill Coyle and the engineer, Rick, but I don't remember his last name, so I apologize. He brought down photos, and they have been working on the outflow. So they've done a lot of work down there, and they're doing a lot of work on the side streets. One of the side streets that's more problematic is Pearl Street because of the way it was paved. They do have problems with the catch basins. They are looking into that, they are working on it, and they are improving it. They did have a concern, though, that when they came into the right-of-way on White Horse Beach, and I know that's private, I know the town can't do much of anything with the White Horse Beach. But even Bill was like a little shocked when he first looked up and just saw the construction, the building. And believe it or not, after all these years, it finally dawned on me as well. The rains, the waters, have nowhere to go. We don't have catch basins on the sand. So when you think about it, with all this building going on, and it just gets less and less ground for the water to seep through the sand. I've had my home there for 50 years, and I've never seen flooding like this. So they are working on it. They've got a ways to go, and I spoke to Bill last week. He's doing a great job. He really is. DPW does a fantastic job. They still have work to do, but they are working on it. So I think it would be good if Mr. Golden, if you could follow up just to see how much, more information that they have on this. I would really appreciate it because the residents, they don't have flood insurance, and, they will suffer the loss. So thank you for letting me follow up on that. Thank you.
I will follow up. Is there anyone on the board who wants to respond to this? Excellent. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to speak on this? Please come up and identify yourself. Oh, you're on. Is there anyone who else wants to speak about flooding on Taylor Avenue? Hearing and seeing none. Roberta, come on up.
Thank you. I want to thank you all for coming here. So this is my elementary school. Oh, come close. Yeah, okay. I tend to wander, so. My name is Roberta Capella, Precinct 6 Town Meeting member and Manawatu Village Steering Committee member. I'd like to comment on the speeding along Whitehorse Road. I provided you with a handout. Kind of looks like this. Okay. Recently, several signs including a your speed indicator have been placed along Whitehorse Road. At first, people slowed down, but since there is no enforcement, the speeding has increased considerably. Signage without enforcement is useless. Over the past 3 years, there have been 9 accidents involving property damage along Whitehorse Road. The most recent was on August 30th when a car came speeding down Whitehorse Road. The car hit the telephone pole in front of 116, bounced off, and nicked the front of 116's house and proceeded to smash into the brick wall in front of 118. Luckily, the fire department was there quickly since the car started to catch on fire. If it had gone up in flames, both houses would have gone up also. Both of these properties have been hit before. On a side note, I did try to call 911 and they did not answer. Luckily, my neighbor was on the phone with them, so she got a hold of them. On the handout I provided, you can see the actual accidents, with most of them occurring within the last 3 years. We're hoping that measures can be taken to solve this issue, especially now since the roads have been repaved and before the Beachway Full Sail project is completed. I call it the Beachway because my grandfather owned it. Thank you for your time, and if you have any thoughts or comments or would like further clarification, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Capella. This is an issue that I've been involved with for some time through the Manawatu Village Steering Committee when I was on that committee. It's definitely something that's concerning to me. We went down with the police department and with the folks in the DPW to address, specifically because of the Full Sail project, that turn and the concern that it will present for pedestrians, but certainly the property damage that folks are experiencing and have over many years is worth our efforts to remedy that. So we've done some things already, some new signage, some restriping of the road and things like that. I understand that there is also some work being done to look into some speed bumps or some speed tables in that area. So I will most certainly follow up on that, and I'll reach back out to you. Does anyone else on the board want to update? Mr. Cohen?
So many of us have been very familiar with this area in terms of the speed and the accidents that have happened along this route. So your points cover what many people have been talking about for 10, 20, 30 years. So I like the idea of moving closer to speed bumps. I think we're going to have to build into this location some traffic calming features. Especially sometimes I see seasonal speed bumps. Speed bumps, they come out during busy times of the year in areas that track quite a bit of people. So there's an opportunity to put something in there seasonally and then remove it, but there are places for permitted speed bumps. So I think it needs to really looked at. So thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Anyone else from the board? Town staff? Sylvia? I know you were there.
Yes, sure. Thank you. Silvio Janao, Assistant Town Manager. Again, thank you for bringing this to our attention. Again, I think I've met you, ma'am, in the front. And I think that day when we met, we said we were going to do some minor soft changes, temporary changes, a first step into kind of getting this issue resolved. So I think at this point, we're now in phase 2. What we're going to do, as the board said, something more permanent, maybe some traffic calming measures, as Mr. Cohen said. So we'll continue to work with the police department, the DPW, but this hasn't fallen off our radar. We're just going through the process as we had talked about before.
Thank you. Is anyone in the room interested in speaking on the traffic issues on White Horse Road? Is there anyone online who wishes to speak to that, Jade? All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to go back to the flooding on Taylor Ave because I neglected, even though we only had 2 folks, to see if there was anyone online who wanted to speak about that. Is there anyone online who wants to speak about flooding on Taylor Ave? No. Excellent. We will move on. Come on up.
Good evening. My name is Bill, R-E-N-T. I live over on Highland Ave. I'm a member of the Village Steering Committee. Although I am quasi, if what I can use my position or just as a resident on this issue. I've been notified, called by numerous people in the area regarding the Symes House. There are a lot of people who are afraid that once that they heard it's up for sale, and once it is sold, that it's going to end up being a condo. The building will stay because it's a historical building, but the land itself can easily be converted. And that's what these people are afraid of. We tried a couple of years ago to get that land to use as a community garden. We were told at that time that it was, there was an RFP out on it already. I don't know if that was the case or not, but we understand now that there is some type of movement going on with it. And I believe that it's only fair to the residents of this community that before any final handshakes are made and before it goes to town meeting, that this community gets a chance to hear what's going on, be part of the decision making. This is their neighborhood, this is our neighborhood. And I believe that we deserve some type of input before anything happens with it. And I'd be glad to take any questions or any criticisms. And if you don't have any, I have one other piece of, another issue that I'd like to just bring up quick.
Thank you, Mr. Arianti. Derek, would you like to address that?
Timely question, Ms. Arianti. This RFP will be released, I believe, tomorrow. We do not, when I say we, the Select Board does not plan on selling this property to a developer for condominiums, so I can assure you of that. We are hopeful that we would work with a nonprofit organization that has a long history in this community or other communities, so they're fiscally solvent, and we can work with them on transferring the property to them and that they can maintain the property as the original vision from years ago.
Okay, with that, through the chair, if in the event it is sold to a nonprofit, is there anything in the deed that would prevent that nonprofit at a later date from selling it to a developer?
There will be protections in place that the nonprofit will not be able to flip the property.
On any timely basis or forever in turn?
I believe over a period of time. That's right.
Do you have further follow-up?
Would it be possible, once, you know, things are starting to put in motion, that we could have some type of notification to the members of this community to know what's coming into it? So just to relieve a lot of fears.
What I would say, first and foremost, you can go to the town's website. The RFP will be publicly available for everyone to view. Once we receive applications, we have a committee that will review those applications, make a decision, and then render a recommendation to the select board.
Thank you. If I may speak on one more, okay, if you have a question, yeah.
Derek, would it be possible for the committee to hold their meeting in Manomet, perhaps at the library?
Yeah, that's certainly possible, yes.
Would that be good?
That'd be great.
Excellent. You have a further follow-up?
I have a follow-up on something else.
Okay. I'm going to ask that you hold it until the future. I know Mr. Cohen wants to speak to this issue as well.
Yep. Bill, thank you very much. And thank you for what you're doing in the village of Manomet with your community garden. I know how much you and a number of people, Alice Baker, Bill, I'm sure you're going to follow up at some point in the evening, give us an update on the community garden, but so many people made that a reality, and that just shows the passion for this village. When their mind is set on something, it's going to happen. So thank you very much for that work. Yes, the restrictions with the Symes House will travel with it, with the Registry of Deeds in terms of the affordable units, the public space around the property as a common, and the historical restriction that governs the envelope of the house, obviously. So when CPA funds were used, these restrictions have to go in place, and I know the town is poised to put out an RFP because there has been an interested party that has a conservation effort that would like to acquire the building. I've made an avocation that we lease the building rather than sell it because if we sell it, we were never going to get the amount of money that we invested in the building at the period of investment. So I was cautious about letting that value go and seeing a leased operation as a way of a compromise of getting the building in the care and protection of an entity that could afford to ensure light, heat, and maintain it and use it in a way that is consistent with what the intent was. But it's something, I don't know if it's a timely place, but I know the RFP is going out tomorrow, but I would ask my fellow board members to consider making a modification in that RFP that we were looking for a lease, add that to the language of the RFP so that option could be explored also. We wouldn't lose an opportunity to maintain some control over this site for a period of time.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. I don't think we can take any action on that request tonight, but I'll follow up with the town manager and loop back to you, Bill. Mr. Canty?
Thank you. There we go. So we did discuss the issue of lease or sale previously, so I think that issue has already been settled. But in terms of the Symes House, obviously it is an asset to the community in terms of a historic structure. However, the combination of uses that it has complicates its functionality for a variety of reasons. It has affordable housing, it has historic preservation, and it has conservation restriction as well. And so finding a productive use for the community for that has been a challenge since the project was completed. There have been a number of efforts to start a productive use that have not culminated in sustainable operations. There is, it appears, at least one entity that thinks they could make a go of it in the long term. But I think in my opinion, the investment that the community made was in those restrictions, the historic restriction, the affordable housing restriction, and the conservation/recreation restriction. Those restrictions stay with the building whether the town owns it or not. But in its current state, it is costing tens of thousands of dollars in insurance every year to be mostly vacant other than the 2 affordable units because of the complicated nature of the restrictions all being intertwined has meant that there have been very few takers. So I believed and still believe that if someone is interested in buying it and taking the burden of the insurance off the town's rolls, that is a worthwhile endeavor because those restrictions that the CPA money went to stick with it regardless, and it is still going to be an asset to the community of Manomet and the community as a whole, regardless of who has ownership of the structure.
Thank you, Mr. Canty. Is there anyone else who wants? Mr. Cohen?
I agree with Mr. Canty's assessment on a multitude of levels, but the one level that I'm concerned about is, yes, we're poised to put an RFP out in 2025, but we haven't put an RFP out for nearly 2.5 years. So it's not as if, I know we were engaged as a community trying to find someone that would take on these responsibilities, but I'm just noting that I'm glad to see an RFP poised to go out. I'm glad to see someone coming forward. I'm just trying to control and protect the town's interest in the property in the short term. So it was just something that I thought we might consider before we move it out to RFP, the leasing component over the sale component for the time being.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on the Symes House? Is there anyone online, Jade? Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to speak on any other issue? Ms. Cavaco?
Good evening, everyone. I'm here to speak about the Shishigahama trip that no one reported how it went. Suggestions of cutting the junket down to just a couple people never came to fruition. But I did hear, and I want to thank, that Steve Bulletin and Pompey Delafield, in fact, paid their own way. So there is some money going back to the kids. So I don't know who's going to be where next year or the year after, but I am hoping that we can concentrate more on the kids. We didn't need 8 VIPs going. You know, they needed chaperones. They probably could have gotten high school students, and it would have just been a much better, you know, experience for our kids and not a junket. So, and with that being said, I would like to know when the boards have decided that we are now appointing town employees to serve on committees. And I'd like the board to look at that because those committees are for our residents. And I'm not saying that a town employee isn't a resident, but they're a town employee. So we should leave those spots open for people that want to get involved in our government. Thank you.
Ms. Cavaco. Mrs. Cavaco. Is there anyone on the board who would like to respond to that? Ms. Iaquinto?
Yeah. Ms. Cavaco, thank you very much for that. I too would like to look at that Shishigama experience and see how that we can improve it, especially for the benefit of the children, the students who it's really for them. So I think it would be a worthwhile exercise to just take a look at what the objectives of that really are and how we can best meet the educational needs of the kids, as well as whatever, you know, municipal experiences we feel that we can get from such a trip.
Is there anyone else on the board? Mr. Cohen?
I also think that this is a unique opportunity not only to build a relationship to Assisted City, but it's also an opportunity to expand the educational experience of residents in the town of Plymouth. So having the chance to study abroad and what that impact had on me as a young person gave me a new appreciation to the community I live in. So anything we can do to expand this opportunity to the students of Plymouth should be looked at. I'd like to see more students and less dignitaries.
Excellent. Others? I believe Mr. Tavares would like to speak on this as well.
Sure. So I'm not here to speak on behalf of the DVC, but I do sit on the DVC. I think there's a number of things going on. First, I'd invite you to a DVC meeting. They are open to the public. They're on Zoom if you can't make it to the town hall to see these. They're not secret. You can come and sit there and discuss with the DVC any questions that you have. Obviously, we have public comment periods, but also the committee functions very well by listening to the public, and we have had people there at these meetings. I think there's a few things that could be done also different. I know that the COPC had been asked to have someone go or represent the COPC. That did trickle down from Japan, not just a DVC decision. And I think people need to understand that. But also, as also not here speaking on behalf of the COPC, but as the chair of the COPC, when that person returned, we did have at our last meeting a debrief and can you let us know what happened, what your days were like. Actually, yes, that person is actually in the room right now. That was Pompey Delafield. As far as the students go, that was actually a discussion at our last DVC meeting, and there's some things working in that process as to how we're going to do it. I love the idea of high school chaperones, but I think our liability is not going to be able to cover that. But at the end of the day, we do get a lot of input from Shikigahama. And what you saw go over there was a lot of influence onto the DVC as to who and what went from students all the way to the appointed people. I can tell you, having known numerous people that have gone, I haven't gone myself, they have always come back and actually wanted to have a vacation because they were going from dawn to dusk every day, from one meeting to a next, one meeting to a next. I mean, I know they're not there sitting on the beach. And that's very similar to when they come over here. But I also think that there are other opportunities for the DVC, so I'd welcome any information from the public or the select board. But Shikigahama is not our only sister city. We have numerous others, and we have done some things here and there. With Plymouth, we've got one in within Holland, is also a sister city. So we've got to work on better outreach with the community as to what's going on there. It's not just going on a vacation or a junket. I think people don't understand the full definition of a junket and what that means, so I'd invite them to look that up. But that's not what this is. And it hasn't been that way since its relationship. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room who would like to speak about Shishigama? Mr. Lyden?
Steve Lyden, I am on the DVC. And it was one of my suggestions that when the delegation came back, that the delegation and the kids come to a select board meeting and come before the board and tell their experiences on Japan. From what I understand from a couple of members that went to Japan, that they're going to get together and they're going to form a committee to make it more transparent and to let the public know what the sister city is, because a lot of things that people didn't know is what the sister city was, how it acts, how, what are they there for? I haven't been to Japan. I have no desire because I'm too old to sit on a plane for 17 hours. But God love those people that went. But I have to tell you, when they did come, when the delegation did come here, I was involved with part of the Japanese and the kids, and it was fantastic. And I think, you want to have more kids involved. I can tell you that we usually send 10, and at the last minute, Japan asked if we could send 15, and I'll tell you, you don't know what we went through to find the extra host families. So it's not as easy as, to pull this off like people think it is. There's a lot that goes into it. A lot of planning, a lot of telephone calls back and forth to Japan. So it's a great program. I just think needs to be more transparent and get out to the public more. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lyden. Is there anyone from the board who wishes to respond? I got no comment. Hang on, then. Anyone from the board? Mr. Cohen?
I just wanted to go back to not only Steve's remarks, but Matt Tavares has, there he is in the back. I have had a chance to drop in on your meetings at times, and I welcome other people to participate in that process, to go to this meeting, to listen to the length of logistics that you're involved in and the sensitivity that you're bringing to this engagement with our sister city. And I have heard discussions about addressing the need to find ways to making the students participate at a higher level. So I like the balance that I've been seeing at those meetings, because it was an education to attend them, and I welcome other people to attend the meetings that you are hosting with your committee. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Anyone else from the board? Thank you. All right, so that's 3 folks on Shishigama. Are you for Shishigama as well? I will come back to you, Pompey, but since we do have 3 comments on that, we're going to move on and see if there's anyone else who wishes to speak on any other topic. Come on up. Please identify yourself.
Hello. I more have a general comment. My name's Emily Tompkins, Precinct 14, lifelong resident, and I work in communications and operations. I've been involved with town committees and other local nonprofit organizations for 3 years. My main focus has been, number 1, to educate myself on how the town works, and number 2, to pass that knowledge on and engage especially working age people in how to stay informed and get involved in boards and committees. First, I want to thank the Select Board for Town Hall on the Road meetings. The public wants to be heard, and I'm really happy to see the town making efforts in this way, in addition to the master plan processes and the community health assessment survey. The town's quarterly magazine and increased social media presence, I'm sorry, I'm hearing feedback, it's messing me up, have been great improvements to the town's communication with residents. With the recent board and committee oath of office issue, this is another area we can improve. According to the select board meeting last week, we're inconsistent with how we communicate deadlines and expectations. If we want to gauge our residents and get them involved in decision-making processes, we should thoughtfully assess these procedures. Our form of government is for everyone, and I'd like to see less barriers to entry. Particularly, the younger working age population looks to be underrepresented. Looking at the makeup of town meeting, 17% of our town meeting members are age 45 or younger, despite this age group being about 43% of our town population. I understand time limitations of managing a family, working full-time, and sometimes 2 jobs, but also not knowing where to start or not understanding how our local government works. I'm really appreciative of the long-standing volunteers in towns, and I'd also like to see us better support this age group and people who haven't been involved before, so that our form of government can continue for many years to come. I'd like us to support the next generation of leadership. I do also want to note, at last week's Select Board meeting, it was discussed to give the people who hadn't been sworn in 7 days to do so, but as someone who works full-time, I need 2 weeks' notice to get time off from work, and the only day Town Hall is open late is on Tuesday. While meetings are typically after regular business hours, Town Hall has a different schedule, which can make it challenging for working-age people. I also want to note that I am disappointed in the board's decision to remove Mr. Canty as chair. It was made very clear by the residents in the last election that they want change. While no one is perfect, I believe under Mr. Canty's leadership as chair, he was leading our town in the right direction. I appreciate his thoughtfulness in leading beefy agendas, long meetings, and his approach to process improvements. I look forward to continuing to see how the Select Board and the town work to improve communications as designated in the fiscal year 26 goals. I'm happy to support these efforts because this is my area of passion, and I really want to help make local government more accessible for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone on the board who would like to respond? Ms. Iaquinto?
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Tompkins. Communication is my passion as well. And I agree, this feedback is very distracting. So thank you all for putting up with it. But you hit on something really important, and that is that communication is two-way. It doesn't come from the town to the residents. There needs to be a conversation. So I would love to work with my fellow select board members to really think through a solid communication strategy and plan to really make that happen, so that, you know, these community conversations aren't just a once in a while nice to do, that we have a real systemic process for reaching out to people and for having people communicate back to us. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cohen?
Emily, and Deb, I'm also passionate about communication. Sometimes I'm accused of communicating too much and too long. But I'd like to reach out to you to see if we can start to engage the local scene and trying to put together a program that would be a outreach effort to explain to residents how the government works, how our charter interacts with our responsibilities, how the legislative process works with our warrant and articles in town meeting. It would be kind of an interesting endeavor. So I look forward to working with you on that point, Emily, and that is trying to engage the entire population, young and old, in the process of getting engaged in town. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the board? Yeah, please.
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge that we have fabulous Casey Kennedy with us, and she's our communications coordinator, and she's doing an incredible job just helping us think through how we would approach the communication plan. So I think with her and with the Emilys of the world and the Select Board's commitment to communication, I think that we can really start to make a significant difference and impact on Plymouth with the way we communicate.
Thank you. Mr. Canty?
Thank you. So I think it's very important that we communicate with our residents where they are. When I wanted to do town hall on the road and brought that to several board members in preliminary conversations with them, it was about trying to meet people where they are to get community feedback, community concerns, but also make people feel heard. I have been a little surprised by some aspects of it, and then others I have not been. For example, I was surprised that the first question we got at the Cedarville Community Fire Station was about the airport in West Plymouth. So I appreciate that individual coming out, but that was unanticipated. But it has afforded residents an opportunity to come here, get answers from their elected officials, and I think that has been successful. And we've been able to follow up on some individual neighborhood concerns about intersections, drainage, things of that nature as well. I think that based on the number of Plymouthians that do not work in Plymouth, they live here but they don't work here, it can be tough for people to get to town hall. Because if you're working 8 hours in the city and you're commuting 2.5 hours in, 2.5 hours out, that's quite a long day, and the last thing you want to do is go downtown if you live 25 minutes away from them in Cedarville. So I think that has been good, but I think there are other opportunities for us to get out in the community and meet people where they are. I am particularly concerned about the future of Plymouthians that are between the ages of 25 and 40 years old. I believe that that particular demographic is being underrepresented in our government and is their concerns of being able to start their life pursuant to the American dream is no longer a reality for many of them due to issues with affordability and gainful employment in our community. I think that efforts should be taken to involve more of them in our government so that their voices can be heard, and I think that our government should be taking more efforts to address the needs of that demographic, because we talk a lot in Plymouth about our history, about our buildings, our ships, our artifacts, and that history is important. But the real legacy of Plymouth is its people. And if more Plymouthians today can't see their family having a future in this community due to affordability concerns and employment concerns, then the future of our community is in jeopardy. And that is and will always be a priority for me, is trying to reach out to individuals in that demographic, working class folks, to try and find their way in our community and have a sustainable life where they want to be. So I think we could do a better job in reaching out to those folks, and I hope we will do so in the near future while there is still time to make positive progress on those fronts. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Excellent. Is there anyone else in the room who would like to speak on engaging residents in our form of government? Come on up and introduce yourself for the record.
Hi. Hello. Hi, I'm Lauren Melillo from Precinct 8, formerly a Manomet girl. I had a couple of different topics, but mostly it was regarding our last speakers. I wanted to ask for a clarification on the Holtec plan. Is it otherwise referred to as the Pilgrim 1600 acre plan?
That's correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure you were talking about the same thing. I also have a suggestion about engaging young families. I have 5 children. They are now adults, all still living in Plymouth. 2 in the audience. And it really is difficult unless you reach people where they're at. So for instance, the recreation department surveys, they are not posted at either Forges or Hedges. If you were to post a laminated copy with the QRC code, parents and other community members who are using those fields could very quickly, with their phone, fill out that survey. I think you would get a lot more input that way. The other comment was just how important I have felt these town hall on the road sessions to be. And I wanted to thank the whole board, because I know how hard it is to work a day job, fly home, try and get something to eat, and then get to this meeting on time. So I do appreciate that of all of you. And specifically of Mr. Canty, I wanted to thank you for the changes that you've put in place. The agendas coming out early, the packet of information, all of those have been really helpful. So thank you for all your hard work on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Derek, did you want to respond to the Forges Field comment?
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. Emailing the Commissioner of Health and Human Services right now to get those laminated copies out to Forges and Hedges.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the board who would like to respond? Mr. Canty?
I think while we're on the topic of communication with our residents, we also need to recognize that our residents have different methods of communication. And we've made some strides in that front. We have, if you're going to break it down into demographics, I think you have an older population that like physical communication. They miss the old colony when that used to cover local issues. They've adapted, I think, in many ways to the Plymouth Independent, but they do prefer physical communication. And we have Town Hall on the Move, our quarterly magazine for that, but perhaps there are other opportunities to provide physical media at places like the Center for Active Living or other areas where that particular demographic would engage, that we could reach those people where they are. We have another demographic that's in the middle that's used to sort of Web 2.0 type communication. So you can get them with the Plymouth Independent because they're used to, they don't go to the Boston Globe. They've been going to boston.com for years. They're used to getting their news on the internet. So they're okay with that. So we can use our town website, which we have been using in some regards, but I know that there's been communication and conversation about streamlining the process there because the website has some peculiarities where for some of the news reports and news updates, when they're on the front page, they're easy to find, but once they drop off, they become basically into a void that nobody can ever find them again. So improvements there could be made. And then I think there is a younger demographic that's used to more advanced online communications, social media, short posts, short videos that we could reach as well. We also have a great service provided by the local scene who's worked, in addition to the board working hard to do on the road, the local scene has really done their part. They set this up today because there was school today in this building. They set this up today in 45 minutes before the meeting. Now, they did it more than 45 minutes before the meeting, but they got this all up and running in a 45-minute time frame because they couldn't get in here until 3:30. So I really appreciate the efforts that they've done, and there's been some communication about utilizing the local scene for more videos on town meeting articles to explain them to town meeting representatives and residents. And I think there's other opportunities to use the local scene to get out communications to various demographics, both on cable for those still with a cord and on their YouTube channel for those that have a cordless approach. So I hope that we look at our communications in a broad spectrum through multiple media outlets so that we can meet all of our residents where they are, because we have a complicated system of government that is difficult to keep track of. And I understand that it is tough to give them all the information to keep track of it as well, but I think it is imperative that we do our best. And that has certainly been a goal of mine, and hope it will be a goal of my colleagues as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Canty. Anyone else? All right. Is there anyone else from the audience who wishes to speak on engaging our residents in the government? Mrs. McCarthy?
Pat McCarthy, Precinct 18. I think this fits what you're talking about. First of all, I want to thank Alice Baker for her work last week with the board, and the board hoping to resolve the issue of the people who have not been sworn in over the years. But in light of that, I don't know why this keeps reverberating, but anyway, in light of that, I tried today to look up on the town website how town meeting members and other elected people find out how they're supposed to get sworn in. And this issue was brought up last week, I think by Kevin, talking about over the years, and having been a town meeting member for almost 30 years, many town meetings opened, and then the town clerk asked everyone to stand up who had not gotten sworn in. And at some meetings, there were 10 to 20 people. And looking back today, from me looking back, thinking, well, they all signed in. We might not have even had a quorum of sworn-in town meeting members, because I don't know what the rules are for the elected people. I know what the rules are that were talked about last week for the appointed boards and committees. That's a whole other issue. But my concern always was at those meetings, sitting there thinking, oh my God, they've been 3 months or 4 months in from being elected, and they haven't even been really a valid town meeting member. So I'm glad that the board is addressing the appointment issue, but this other issue for elected members to meet whatever their guidelines are. I don't even know what their guidelines are, because I went on the bylaws and I kind of went back and forth, and I'm sort of tech savvy, but I couldn't figure it out. I know that I always went and got sworn in, but that was always been my concern, and that if you're elected, first of all, whatever you're volunteering to do, you should be committed to getting involved after you are appointed or elected and find out if you're valid or not valid. So that was astounding to me that you found with the research that Kevin initiated and all, that there's 66 just from your side. We're not talking about school committee appointments to committees, nor planning board, nor whoever else is appointing people. So, and we want citizens to be engaged. That was, I thought I was tied in maybe to messaging. I wasn't sure. But I think a clear message and encouraging people, and then all the people that need to be encouraged to get on the ballot, instead of having people that have 1 or 2 write-ins and then they don't know anything about why they got written in, and they don't know why they're there, and they don't know to come. So I just hope that some of these issues could be addressed so we can get we know there's concerned citizens out there, and having, been a parent back 35, 40 years ago, whenever it was that I first got involved, is yes, you had to arrange to get a babysitter at night to come to a meeting, and you went in person. And there's something about the in-person, and I appreciate that you've been getting out and about. I do watch all you guys on TV, so that I try to keep up. And so I thank you for your efforts, and I hope people out there might decide to look into getting involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. I think there are 2 parts to your comment. The first is, I think, on the topic at hand about engaging residents, communicating with them. So when a board member is appointed, they receive notification from our office that they need to get sworn in. I think Mr. Canty brought up last week that there's some confusion based on the notification that they receive. Is it 30 days from the point that they received the letter, from the point that the letter was written, from the point that they were appointed? The bylaw does state that it's 30 days from appointment, and after the termination of those 30 days, the appointment itself is terminated. There's a similar provision in our charter, section 5-3-2, that states elected town meeting members shall present themselves within 30 days of election to the office of the town clerk for the administering of the oath of office or make alternative arrangements with the town clerk. Failure to comply with the previous sentence shall result in a vacancy. An elected official cannot act in any capacity until the oath of office is taken. So that would be the answer to your question about the town meeting piece. I know that when I was a town meeting member, and it was always a pleasure serving with you on that body before your retirement, the town clerk sent notification home to let folks know that they needed to get sworn in. I don't recall the substance of that letter. but I do remember receiving it. Yeah, come on back up.
But my concern is that they showed up at town meeting and thought they were town meeting members,
Yeah.
and they had not been sworn in. And the election's in May, and the first town meeting's in October. It's more than 30 days. That's my point, is that there should be follow-up somehow, getting them or finding out they don't want to be a town meeting member, and then open it up for other people.
Yeah, I know that the town clerk's office is all over this now, and she is going to make sure that moving forward, both the bylaws and the charter are followed to the letter of the law. Mr. Canty?
So, in regards to the town meeting related oath of office, so there is, the way that the town meeting charter provision is written, there's that wiggle room of 30 days unless alternative arrangements are made with the town clerk. It's been a while. It's, I think, 2 town clerks ago that we did that mass swearing in of members. I think that was the last done by Mr. Pizer when he was in that role. And it is unfortunate that there's a May election and then individuals don't get sworn in until likely an October town meeting, unless there's a special during the summer, which has happened historically. But at least they're not taking any official action in that capacity until the town meeting itself. And there is that wiggle room of an alternative arrangement with the town clerk. I think the bylaw language for other appointments and elected officials gave me pause because of its rigidity and the fact that there was unclear communication from the town to residents, because I think that an individual, I got involved 12 years ago. When I first got involved, I was already a lawyer, so I had some legal knowledge coming into that, obviously, but a lot of people, and I was getting involved in the FinCom that has staff support that sends out clear communications about when you need to get sworn in and what the rules are there. But there are a lot of boards and committees that do not have dedicated staff support in an admin role, and there are, from what was discovered, there are some inconsistencies, as was stated, as to how they were notified. And it was not clearly stated that it was within 30 days of their appointment, and that could have caused some confusion, and that I think it is in the town's interest to encourage people that want to get involved to remain involved, particularly if they are only disqualified through perhaps no fault of their own. So I was and continue to be hopeful that we can come up with a solution to preserve the engagement of those individuals that did not take their oath on time in the community without a mass exodus of those folks from the rolls. And I think that would be in the interest of Plymouth to find a workable solution for that.
Thank you, Mr. Canty. Are there others from the board who wish to respond? All right. That was 3 comments on that subject, so I am going to move on, but I promise I will come back to it. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on a different topic? Come on up and identify yourself.
Hi, my name is Anna Malillo. I was not expecting to speak. Wanikisak, you are in Manamat. Last year, you decided to vote against the land acknowledgement. I would like to strongly urge you to rethink this. The other thing that I wanted to say is that Manamat is really fighting. As somebody who has been here for many generations, my daughter goes to this school like you, Mr. Golden, and she has lost 6 classmates who have moved out because of the housing crisis. there is not enough being done for affordable housing for families. There is plenty being built for way too much money, but nothing that is affordable. There are so many vacant houses in Manamet that are used for 2 months of the year. Cape Cod is taking a huge stand, and Plymouth needs to do more for its working class, its children, its families, and its future. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Malillo. Well, there were two topics, I think, in there, the land acknowledgement and affordable housing. So I'll bring it to the board first. Is there anyone who would like to speak? Mr. Canty?
Yes, and I thank you for your comments. I think that I earlier was talking about the difficulties of 25 to 40-year-olds. And I think, when I think of that, I had older parents, so I was towards the other end of that spectrum later in their lives. Still am, technically. I don't turn 40 for a little over 2 months. But I think that, for those individuals that were like my parents' age, if you're in your 50s through 70, you're either preparing to retire or you are retired, you have time to give back to your community. You may wish to do that, but it may be difficult to justify that if, for those of your children that wish to stay here, they can't find a place to do that. They can't find a place to rent. Like the old American dream was you live at home for a while, you might go to college, then you rent for a little while, you meet somebody, and you buy a home together, start a family. People's stories vary from that in one way or another for various reasons. But I think that it's very hard for anybody to tell that story in Plymouth right now. And I think it's because of the unaffordability of housing and the unaffordability in the community more broadly. And I think that it's harder for people in the 50 to 70 to get engaged because they don't see a future for their family here. It's harder for those 25 to 40-year-olds to get their life started and to have a family of their own. And I think it's a fundamental breakdown in the cycle of life for Plymouthians. It has reached that point. I think it has already reached that point in a lot of communities on the Cape, and we are doing that to ourselves here. And it is unfortunate. If about 70% of people that live in Plymouth can't afford to work here, and about 70% of the people that work in Plymouth can't afford to live here, that is a broken system. You want a community where as many people as wish to live and work there are able to do so, and we have fallen far short of that mark. I hope that this board is able to make appreciable progress on those metrics for the sustainability of this community and to meet the needs of that demographic that I find has largely been ignored. So for those reasons, I implore my colleagues to focus on the next generation of Plymouth.
Mr. Cohen?
Thank you very much. I think the land acknowledgement is something that we need to revisit. I think Plymouth is a historical town. We're made up of many different people and cultures and traditions, and it's always good to look back to where we started. But I do believe that we are in a period of time where housing has become too expensive for many of us to afford. And in the past, we had a greater commitment by our state and federal government in funding housing. We used to have a vibrant HUD in the 1960s and 70s and 80s during the Great Society and the lessons learned in the housing shortages of the 50s and 60s. I know I'm going back some time now, but I need to bring people back to a period of time in American history in the 1980s when HUD was pretty much defunded, and housing authorities across the country could not make the advancements in which they were designed to do. I know that when the Community Preservation Committee came forward as a funding mechanism to build Cherry Hill 2 with the Plymouth Housing Authority in 2005, nearly 20 years ago, the director there, Joan Pimentel, who had served that board for many years spectacularly, building housing around the town of Plymouth. Most of the affordable housing that we see today on South Street with Southfield and Castle Street, and when we look at Homestead, these are neighborhoods and this is affordable housing that was built to be affordable. We're building lots of housing in Plymouth. We're the fastest growing town in New England, but we're not building housing that people can afford, and we have to find a greater commitment. We also have been working with the private developers to reach a partnership, but that's not the only tool in the toolbox. We have to go back and strengthen this other tool, and that is a commitment to bring down the cost of housing. And look at the successes we had in the past. Efforts like Joan Pimentel in the Plymouth Housing Authority back in the year 2005. But I do agree that it's at a crisis level in Plymouth, but we have to look at it in a more innovative way.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Anyone else? I mean, I would echo the concerns that Ms. Malou brought up and the comments of my colleagues. I think we have a unique opportunity as the town enters into safe harbor to really work with developers that work for us, folks who are respectful of our community character, who understand our bylaws, who understand our goals as a town. And I think there are some folks here in town who would probably be willing to help us to do that. Excellent. So there were two topics brought up here. I'll entertain either the land acknowledgement or the affordable housing issue. Is there anyone in the room who would like to speak about either? Is there anyone online? All right. I'll open it up. Is there anyone who would like to speak about any other topic? Mr. Lydon? You're next.
Steve Lydon, I watched the planning board the other night, and it really scared me what Article 25 could do to this town. Article 25 would limit not only the commercial building, but also residential. If you want to build a swimming pool, you're not going to be able to. We have a lot of projects that have grants, and now we're not going to be able to do like the culvert down Jenny's Gristmill. With this new 25 article, we won't be able to do that. So it's not only going to hurt the residents, it's going to hurt the town, and also developers are not going to want to come here because they're not going to be able to do any kind of excavation on the properties that they own. So I think this should be brought up more. I know you brought up about the local scene. It should be put on there. It should be discussed probably more at our selectmen's meeting, how important this article is and how it will affect, like I said, not only the residents, but builders, economic development, and every other thing that affects this town. It's a terrible article. These people proposing this never talked to town staff. The other night, they were offered, when a lot of their parts of their amendment were confronted by Mr. Bulletin, they found out they were not valid, they offered to have them pull their article and come into the planning board, and they would be more than welcome to try to find an article that would satisfy everyone. And they refused to do that. So Article 25, it will affect like everyone, so I think that it should be more advertisement. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lydon. There appear to be some confused faces in the audience. So Article 25 is in relation to a citizen's petition that requests a zoning bylaw amendment that would create a temporary moratorium on earth removal from any construction projects in town. The moratorium is proposed for 11 and a half months, so that, for folks who were wondering, is what Mr. Lydon was talking about. I will say that I share concerns that you have, and relative to my prior comments, if this does pass,
I think Mr. Canty brought up in a prior meeting that there could be implications for us while we're in safe harbor. We wouldn't be able to work with developers who are going to do right by the town because the volume that would be permitted for removal, you could barely build a foundation for a small home. So it will be a challenge if that moves forward. I'm happy to put it on an agenda if my colleagues wish to discuss it at a future meeting prior to town meeting. Mr. Canty?
So Article 25 is already on the agenda for next week, so we will be hearing it at that time. Article 25 is a citizen's petition, so it was not required that we heard it prior to executing the warrant, which we did tonight, because it's going to go on the warrant whether we wanted it to or not. I do have concerns about Article 25. I think that while the intention of environmental protection is a good one, this is not, in my opinion, the right solution because it will actually affect significant other environmental related projects in the community. It will affect our availability to access grants that we use for infrastructure improvement to improve the environment as well as safety for our residents. It will prohibit us from being compliant with the MBTA Communities Law, and it will also present challenges, as was referenced, to utilizing safe harbor to target new affordable housing developments to areas with the infrastructure to support it. This town is going to continue to grow, whether we'd like it to or not, but if we are smart about our decision making, we can leverage and shepherd that development into areas where it makes sense for it to go. If we can use temporary safe harbor to get into a more permanent safe harbor and still be in safe harbor until the 2030 census comes back in 2032, when our subsidized housing inventory number goes up based on the 2030 census, then Plymouth can control its own destiny for longer than it ever has since these laws were passed. I think that is imperative because I think we have heard complaints throughout this community and at Town Hall about growth, about the unbridled nature of it, and about how it seems to be unrelenting. There is a path forward to prevent it from being unrelenting, but we have to be smart about it. And I do not think that the solution proposed by Article 25 allows us the flexibility to do that. So there will be a public hearing next week. It was postponed so that we had the benefit of the public hearing conducted by the Planning Board before we had our own hearing. But I encourage members that are interested both in the environment and in affordable housing and the other things that I brought up to watch that meeting next week so you can hear about these issues and having them discussed at a high level in your community. And of course, to tune in to town meeting on October 18th and see the outcome there as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Canty. Ms. Iaquinta?
Yeah, I share the same concerns as my colleagues just expressed to all of you. I think this is a well-intentioned article that could have unintended consequences that would have a devastating effect on the future of Plymouth. So I do encourage you not only to listen in on the select board discussion next week, but I believe that A&F is going to hear it tomorrow. And so just keep an eye on different agendas that are coming out because this article will be discussed in various venues. So it's really important to hear all perspectives so that you can make your own decisions about whether or not this is an article that's worth supporting or one that we should reconsider.
Thank you. Mr. Cohen?
I'm not prepared tonight to debate Article 25. I think we have to wait for the petitioners to come in. They've been before the planning board, they're coming before the committee of precinct chairs, and eventually the select board. I'd like to reserve my comments for those presentations. But I would like to take us back to where we are today and why this Article 25 is in front of us. And it has everything to do with the fact that We've been going around to neighborhoods, and we've been asking the neighborhoods what their priorities are. We were in the southern part of Plymouth, and we were drawing our attention to sand and gravel. It came up at a couple of these meetings. People are concerned about the sand and gravel removal operations that are happening around the town of Plymouth. And since I was elected in May, I have been advocating to this board that it's imperative that we move quickly to form a sand and gravel committee to review this bylaw after 10 years of implementation. 10 years ago, we had a sand and gravel committee. They came up with a bylaw. We have had that bylaw in effect now for nearly 10 years. It's time to revisit it. I'm hoping that will happen as a result of this discussion that we're having on Article 25, that we will go back to the focal point, and the focal point is time is of the essence. We need to form a sand and gravel committee and start to review this bylaw. I think that we're looking at Article 25 because there was a level of frustration that we weren't moving as a community quick enough on the issue. So I think that I look forward to seeing both pro and con debate the issue of Article 25, but I just want to point everybody's attention about the importance and how open we have to be on this reconstituting of this committee as soon as we possibly can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Mr. Whittle?
Yeah, I attended the forum, I believe it was Saturday, and I was told, some of the speakers that were there, presenters, that the building inspector has the final say. He can opt out of it. So in other words, if it was accepted, and I want to save the debate too for next week, but if it is accepted or not accepted, the building inspector has the final say. So before next week, I'd like to have a legal opinion on whether that opinion is true, because that has a lot to do with the way I would vote on this. Because although if it does pass and it's not perfect, at least we have a stopgap. Well, I feel we have a stopgap. But if that's not the case, then that wasn't the correct information that I received, and I want to go, make sure that that's correct.
Sure.
Because although it might not be perfect, I do agree with Mr. Cohen on it's time to get moving. We have a lot of lip service. We know that people don't want the sand and gravel, so I'm going to get right to it. Nice and easy. 2 lines. No more lip service. Let's form the committee, give them a timeline, and give them what their objectives are, and bring it back.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whittle. Did you want to? The town manager is nodding his head in a sense, so I think we can reasonably anticipate that there will be a legal opinion.
Well, no.
Yeah. We will get that. Very good. Is there anyone who would like to speak on Article 25? Is there anyone online? There is not. Awesome. I've been telling Ms. Davis that I'm coming to her next, so Ms. Davis, would you like to take the stand?
Ginny Davis, Precinct 4 rep. I'll be very brief. This is again about swearing in. When I first became a town meeting member, I was like, swearing in. And we didn't even have caucuses then, okay? But, and I did get sworn in. I think I got a letter or someone got in touch. But again, I'm echoing. Is that echoing? Stand back a little? Is that better? Sorry. Why? Okay, thanks. But now, as a town meeting member, I found it was my chair. It was Claire Montanari, and I remember that she would send an email. If she didn't get a response, she called us. If we came, and she would hold a caucus meeting as soon as there was a new election, so there could be a reorganization. And then she would say, well, if you haven't sworn in, I'm sorry, Ginny, you can't vote. I mean, it could be me, it could have been someone else, but she tried to get us all sworn in before she held that meeting so that we could go ahead. She also emphasized that we do the open meeting law and that we do the conflict. And now I'm on land use and acquisition. And Mr. Hampton Watkins said, sent it out. Have you got yourself sworn in? When you get your state papers done, let me know. So I think maybe what we need to do is do some teaching for our chairs too, because again, you can send out 10 letters from the clerk. The clerk can't possibly call out all these people, but a chair only has 10 people, 7 people. It's up to them, but they might need training. So, I'm really glad that you're going to be working on this, but I think it comes back to real personal connection too. And if nobody shows up and doesn't show up, and they haven't sworn in, bye.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. I think it's fair that this is a new topic because we had previously briefly discussed it under communication and engagement of residents. So I know that there were other folks who thought about speaking on this issue. Would you like to do so? Come on up.
Hi, Kate Brown, Precinct 1. One, I'd like to reiterate Mr. Keown's suggestion that you revisit the land acknowledgement and put it on a schedule. I mean, I think it's really important when we want to talk about the history of Plymouth and the cultural sensitivity and the inclusion of everybody. I think the land acknowledgement is a very simple, short way to acknowledge a significant segment of our town. It's hard. The second thing I'd like to ask, and I guess I am addressing this to the town manager, Derek. Is it possible for Kelly to put together some kind of a ledger of all the appointments that are made and by whom and by time so that we can get on top of this? I feel really good that you guys are going to take care of your appointments, but I'm not sure that it's happening on many more. So I'm not sure who the right person to do it is, but there needs to be a plan.
Yeah, no, so most of the appointments, as you know, are made by the select board. I can tell you that I have the authority personally to appoint the Disability Commission and the Board of Assessors. So that's kind of in the other group.
Yeah.
And the planning board has some appointments. So we certainly can take a look at the other group and break those down and communicate that back to the community.
I think that's important.
Sure.
So that everybody's on the same level playing field. We're going to tell some group, you got 7 days to get your act together, and then the others are still sitting out there. I just think it should be consistent.
Well, I will say that all folks who haven't been sworn in have been communicated with, whether they're select board appointments, town manager appointments, planning board. So everybody has received that notification of having to come in before September 18th.
So is that the 66 people, or is it more than 66?
It includes so we decided that we would address our appointees for the purposes of giving them the additional, I think it ended up being 9 days, not 7, but I know the town clerk has also reached out to other appointing bodies and to other appointees who might be out of compliance.
Yeah. So maybe just a little guidance or education, as Ginny says.
Sure.
Thank you.
You got it. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on the swearing-in issue? Mr. Canty?
So there is, through the town website currently, you can more easily manage and view vacancies in town committees and the composition of those committees than you ever could before. So through that new process, having done a considerable amount of work on both trying to not have this problem repeat, but also examine how this problem occurred. Through that, it's called onboard. Through that process, we're confident that we can prevent this from happening going forward. There's an automated process to send out notifications to folks, clearly outlining their requirements. And you as a resident can see, oh, I'm interested in this committee. Are there any vacancies? When can I apply for it? When are the terms up? Whose term is up? Because maybe you'd like to apply, but there's a member on there that you really like and you don't want to take his or her seat. So that capability exists under the boards and committees section of the website right now. But the real problem is that it's not, there are many appointees that onboard only came to the community at the beginning of this year, wasn't fully engaged and operational in all of those aspects until about July. So it took some time to get it up and running at its full capacity. And the old methods were more cumbersome with complicated Excel spreadsheets navigating the records, and that's really where I think a lot of the confusion and lack of clarity came from. So looking back at that to identify the problem, I think is important, but I think the most important thing going forward is that I personally feel confident that it will not repeat itself once we get through what are we going to do with the problem before us.
Thank you, Mr. Canty. Mr. Quinto?
At approximately 4:30, I was in the town clerk's office, and I was sworn in for 4 committees from Kelly McElrath. And she had told me that Jade had worked on a program and that it was all taken care of, and that she was going to, and she praised it. And she said it was all Jade's hard work. So is that the right information, Jade? Okay. I said thank you to you earlier, so I want to say thank you in public again for a good job well done. And that will coincide when you're appointed through whatever system. I mean, Kelly, she flipped the screen over and said, see? And she said, I have to give all the credit to Jade. So I just want to pass that on. I think it's been addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gorin?
Yeah. Sorry. Might be a good idea in the future to, you can bring it up under new business, old business, but the possibility of bringing Kelly in to give a quick presentation to us, the board, and the community, the status of her resolution of tackling this discovery.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Anyone else who wants to speak on swearing in? Come on up.
Good evening. I'm Hampton Watkins. I serve on one committee with Mr. Golden, and I chair another committee. It's a pleasure to appear this evening. I think that the problem that is reflected by the swearing-in issue is a little larger. I communicated with all of you after last week's meeting, and I think that I've been to enough meetings where people have applied for positions, been considered for an appointment, but I don't even see that they show up to present their candidacy. I think it's important that we have a top-to-bottom educational process, sort of a step-by-step guide. And I think that we're well equipped as a town to be able to put that forward and make that a matter of course. So that here's, if you want to engage, here are the suggested steps for that engagement. And here's just exactly what would facilitate your candidacy and your participation in town government, regardless of what form it takes. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, there were 3 folks on the swearing-in issue. Is there anyone in the room who would like to speak on any other issue that has not yet been brought up?
First, I just want to say one thing about the land acknowledgement. I am the person who brought it up before the COPC originally. It was asked of me to bring it up. I didn't know what it was until it was explained to me, and I brought it up with full passion, and I hope that the board revisits it and adopts it. But with that, my name is Bill Arienti. I'm the president of the Manamet Community Garden Association. Although it's not a town office or a town position, it is a private organization. It is located right beside St. Bonaventure Church on the property, right behind the fire station. Right now we have 16 garden beds. Most of them are being used by seniors. We have 2 wheelchair accessible garden beds. We have a number of young people working, and we also have, we partnered with the ARC, with the challenged people who are members of the ARC, who have been great. And I just spoke tonight with the Cub Scouts, who will be partnering with us as well. So it's a real great community driving effort. We have a section of the garden which is approximately 2,500 square feet, which provides vegetables and fruits and produce, all fresh, all organic, for the 2 food pantries in Manamet. So far this year, we've delivered approximately 250 pounds of fruits and vegetables to them, with approximate 200 more pounds to go before the season's over. We're very proud of everything, but we're most proud of the friendships that have been created by this garden. People who never met each other are now best of friends. Dinners are being held amongst groups of people. It has really brought a community together. It is, I want to thank just Cindy Goss, who's our treasurer, her husband, Alan Hemberger, who has done more than you can imagine. Alice Baker and Roberta Capella have put on the Strawberry Social that we had that brought over 100 people into the area. It was really a great event. Our intention is to grow this. The garden itself we're going to grow. We've just applied for a grant to get hydroponic towers so we can provide the food pantries in Manamet with twice as much vegetables in half the time. If we get this grant, it'd be great. The other thing we'd like to do is we'd like to start the Manamet Civic Association to grow this. We don't need to have a garden. We want to have people come together. This was all brought up because one lifelong resident of Manamet realized that people are at each other's throats these days about everything. And she says, we have to start working together. We have to be friends. We're a community. And she says, can we put together a community garden? That was 3 years ago, and we've worked on it, and we finally come to fruition. So if we can start a civic association, we'd like to have it that maybe once a month we have potluck dinners. Maybe we go on bus trips somewhere. Maybe we do a blood drive. Anything to bring people together to make friends in this time of such turmoil. So I hope that people out there can hear it. I was hoping to speak while there were more people here, but unfortunately, this is what I have, but we have the TV. And I thank everyone who has been part of this, who has made this. I've never been so proud of a community that I lived in my life as I am to live in Manamet. Thank you.
And Bill, thank you for your hard work on this. I know it was not an easy lift, and it took a while, but this was your baby, and you made sure it came to be. So thank you for your hard work to make this incredible asset for our neighborhood. Mr. Canty?
Yes, so I had the privilege of going to the opening of the Manomet Community Garden when it opened this spring, and I thought it was a great event, and I look forward to seeing the garden grow over time. So thank you for your work in that and the work of everybody else that worked so hard in that. We have heard from multiple speakers tonight, as well as one prior board member, that the land acknowledgement is a priority for them. So I would like to request that we add that to an agenda with all deliberate speed so that we can address the concerns of our residents and acknowledge the historic contributions of the First Peoples as a community. So I would ask that that be added to an agenda as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Canty. I will get this on an agenda in the future. Mr. Cohen?
Yes, just to build on what Bill was touching on, and yes, the Manomet Community Garden has taken off, but has tapped something that I've always recognized in this village, that people will come out to help one another. It's a passionate village of hands-on. So the community garden is only emphasizing this tradition in the village of Manomet that can't be unrecognized without recognizing the long-term resident of Manomet and town meeting member who was always at the epicenter of any initiative, Randy Parker. He passed away this past year. He's greatly missed, but he did symbolize this unique characteristic of humor, passion, and energy to get people to work together. And so I'm glad that the community garden is acting as a catalyst for other community initiatives in the village. So thank you and everyone that you referenced in their efforts on the community garden. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Ms. Iaquinto?
So yesterday I had the privilege of attending Cal's Conference on Aging, and one of the speakers was a physician who talked about blue zones, those parts of the world where people tend to live forever. And he was going through all of the indicators of what contributed to their longevity. And one of the key indicators was a sense of community, that was one of the strongest characteristics of the blue zones. So the community garden is actually creating a health benefit well beyond producing healthy food. It's producing a sense of community that is really helping in so many different ways. So thank you for that. And this echoing is really annoying. Sorry about that.
Any other comments from the board? Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak about the healing garden?
It was originally the Healing Garden, but due to tax purposes, we had to shorten the name and make it the Manomet Community Garden only.
Community garden. Is there anyone else who would like to speak about the community garden? Seeing none, is there anyone online? All right. Is there anyone who would like to speak on any other topic that has not yet been addressed? Mr. Donato?
Mr. Chairman, thank you, Al Donato, town meeting member. As I came in here tonight into the elementary school, I remember there was a day when I was younger I could visit an elementary school in the afternoon and visit my old teachers. But that's not possible anymore. It's rare that I get into an elementary school today, of course, that we even walk by one. The culture has changed, something has changed, and I've been involved close to 40 years in another community as well. There's three things I've learned about this public service, and it's compromise, compromise, compromise. And we have a separation of powers, and we have a two-party system, not that we're going at it with one another, and I guess this is 7th grade civics, but we find that middle ground. You know, we're all reminded of President Reagan sitting down with Tip O'Neill and coming up with a compromise, and that's very, very important that we find that middle ground, and I know we will do that in this town. I jumped into this town 5 years ago. I barreled in here, and I've spoken to many of you here. We've gone out for coffee, we spoke, and everyone has been great from an outsider. So all those new people now that are coming into Red Brook, we have a lot of new people. I tell them, I encourage them. They really don't understand this form of government, those that have lived outside of Massachusetts. And as I lived in Saugus, and we were dubbed by the Boston Globe the land of 1,000 town managers. Since 1947, we had an average of a town manager staying 2 years. So, and that wreaked havoc on the long-term planning. So, the political body, as I tell people, set policy. That policy gets vetted publicly. The advisory and finance have their hearings, and ultimately we fund that. And I use, for example, if we decide we're going to fill potholes in 30 days, well, we're going to need additional equipment, and we go through that process, and the manager, he or she, implements that. In the manager's office, we hire a professional to work within that parameter that we set up. You know, and I'm not that naive to think that someone doesn't pick up before we get a pothole filled, of course, but 99.9% of the time, tax dollars are going to have a management plan vetted by the public body. And when everyone understands their roles, it works perfectly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DiNardo. We welcome you from Saugus. We're happy to have you here. Sort of high philosophy there. I would categorize this topic as our form and function of government. Is there anyone from the board who wishes to respond? Mr. Canty?
I think that the oath of office issue and the potential catastrophic consequences that has to the volunteer pool is something that we need to consider in our system of government. I think that it takes a considerable amount of effort to reach our residents in the current structure and a considerable amount of time to do that. So I hope that those who are in leadership positions now will continue to take efforts to make sure that residents feel included as best they can within the current structure. It takes quite a lot to understand it, to get people to come out and observe it, to get them to engage with it and to tell other people about it. I think that our government structure can be very Byzantine in some regards, and there's a significant learning curve to getting up to speed with it. It is an important system of government. It's a very close level of democracy for folks, but I do worry, unless we correct some of the other structural problems about availability in the community based on work-life balance for the long-term sustainability of our current form, unless we are very mindful about communication, education, outreach, and engagement. And I would encourage my colleagues, particularly those in leadership at this time, to make that a priority, because this is our system of government. It is our system of government for as long as we have it, and it needs to work as well as it can for the residents of our community, because every year is some kid's only year in kindergarten, the only year some family is going to need a response to their home for the overdose of their son or daughter, the only year that somebody's going to have Meals on Wheels delivered to their homes. The services that our community provides to residents are of the utmost importance, but getting people to understand and participate in the government that makes those services happen is increasingly challenging. So I hope that we are up to the challenge of the day, and that, I believe, is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Canty. Any other comments from the board? All right. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak on the function and form of our government? Is there anyone online? Excellent. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on any other topic that we've not discussed here tonight? Excellent. Is there anyone online who wishes to speak? All right. Well, we are going to hit the open mic portion where you can revisit any topic that we've already discussed. Is there anyone who wishes to revisit a topic? Is there anyone online? All right. Well, I guess we've concluded our Q&A session. I want to thank my neighbors in Manamet for coming out and giving us a lot to think about here tonight, and hopefully some action items that we can take some quick action on to improve your community life. So thank you, folks. At this point, I'll move on to the select board discussion. Is there any new business tonight? Mr. Cohen?
Yes. So, as I mentioned earlier tonight, I think it might be a good idea in a future agenda to ask Kelly to come in and give us kind of a synopsis of what she has discovered and how she is working to remedy that. I also think it would be great if we put on the agenda for the next meeting a discussion on the sand and gravel formation of a committee. So those are the two things I'd like to see happen on our agenda in the near future.
Excellent.
And I guess one of the things that I'd like to do is, this is not new business as much as old business, but I know myself and the town manager have talked about 54 Taylor Ave. We're in Manamet, Taylor Ave. Obviously, the town manager is looking into it and looking at options, but I want to reassure the residents here tonight that we are looking at that property at Taylor Ave, trying to improve its appearance, its use, and its buffering. Thank you.
Thank you. We will get those on the agenda. Any other new business? Mr. Quinto?
Yeah, excuse me, Derek, on Farnham Drive, there's sidewalks, and I'll send you some photos that the residents sent me there. They're all overgrown, and the kids are walking out in the street. And I asked them if it's a public street, first off, and they said yes. So I'm going to forward them on, and you can do as you feel. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other new business? I do have one item. I had a lengthy discussion with the town manager last week about safety and security in the community. I think that, and I think Mr. Arianti talked about how folks are at each other's throats. And I think we have to get serious about safety in Plymouth. We've had some significant mental health issues here in the community. Stabbings, shootings, home invasions that have become very public over the last year or so. We've also seen on the national scene multiple school shootings in the last several weeks, and recently the political assassination of a person whom, whether you agree with his policies or not, should absolutely not be the target of violence. And so I'm very interested in seeing a comprehensive study of safety and security here in Plymouth. Specifically, I think we need to look at town-owned properties, the municipal buildings, certainly the schools, but we also have to have some conversations about how we can really bolster the ranks of our first responders. And so I'd like to see some kind of action towards getting a study done to find our blind spots and figure out how we can be better in a safer community. Any other new business? Any letters? Mr. Cohen?
I do believe we received a letter from someone in the a resident, Ms. Mayo, of her concerns about the activities in the town of Plymouth as it results to building on what you're indicating about public service. Obviously, there are agencies operating in Plymouth enforcing immigration circumstances, and I think that her letter should be responded to in some capacity from the town or the select board. I'm not sure how the board wants to pursue how we best respond to Ms. Mayo's concerns and what steps the town is doing to address the safety-related issues that can be as a result of different agencies operating in one location and not having a complete understanding of each person's day-to-day activities. So it's something that we should think about. We received it last week, so I hope the other board members are thinking about what Ms. Mayo has drawn to our attention.
I will follow up with the town manager and with you. Any other letters? Any old business? Hearing and seeing none, we have concluded our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mr. Canty makes the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Iaquinto seconds. Is there any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the roll. Ms. Iaquinto?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Quintal?
Yes.
And Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
And myself, yes, we are adjourned. Thank you.